You know, a country's money is so much more than just paper and ink. It's a promise. But what happens when that promise gets broken? Today, we're going to dissect the anatomy of a currency crash, a crazy phenomenon that can literally wipe out a person's life savings overnight. We'll look at how this happens using some really powerful real-world examples. Just take a moment and really let that sink in. Imagine that. You wake up, you head to the grocery store, and the price of everything has doubled. Your savings, all that money you worked so hard for, has been chopped in half. This isn't some made-up horror story. For millions of people, it's a devastating reality.
And that, right there, is a currency crash. It's what happens when the very foundation of your economic life just crumbles beneath you. It's a complete and total loss of faith in the value of the money in your pocket. So let's start by looking at a country where this exact scenario has played out. Okay, let's dive.
First up, we're looking at Iran. Their national currency, the rial, has been in a state of pretty much constant crisis for years. It's a really stark example of how pressures from the outside can bring an entire economy to its knees.
So, the story in Iran really kicks off with this immense external pressure. Heavy international sanctions basically cut the country off from the global economy. And what did that do? Well, it choked off their exports, it scared away any foreign investment, and this is the big one. It created a severe shortage of US dollars, which is pretty much the lifeblood of international trade.
And the result of all that pressure? Well, it's hyperinflation on a scale that is just mind-boggling. It can take literally millions of rials to buy a single US dollar. Now, when your money devalues that much, people just stop trusting it. Why would you? It's no longer a reliable way to store your wealth, and that leads to shortages, total chaos in the supply chain, and of course, deep social unrest.
So here's the crucial takeaway from Iran's story. The economic pressures, the sanctions, they were the trigger, for sure. But the real collapse, that happened when the Iranian people completely lost faith in the rial. When you no longer believe the money you're holding today will be worth anything at all tomorrow, the whole system just breaks down.
But, currency crises aren't always caused by forces from the outside. Sometimes, the most devastating damage actually comes from within. For our next examples, let's turn to Turkey and Argentina, two countries that are really grappling with the consequences of internal mismanagement.
And this slide is great because it shows two completely different roads that lead to the exact same disaster. Over in Turkey, the government fought rising inflation with let's call it an unconventional policy that kept interest rates low. Now, that sent a huge red flag to investors, who promptly pulled their money out, causing the Turkish lira to just plummet. Meanwhile, in Argentina, the government tried to solve its budget problems by, just printing more pesos. But here's the thing, creating more money doesn't create more wealth. It just dilutes the value of all the money that's already out there, basically destroying people's savings.
This quote perfectly captures what's going on in Argentina. Citizens are literally abandoning the peso. They're doing everything they can to convert their earnings into something, anything more stable. US dollars, gold, even crypto. It's a massive vote of no confidence in their own country's economy.
Okay, so we've seen external pressure in Iran and internal mismanagement in Turkey and Argentina. We've got different problems, but they all lead to the same disastrous result. So what's the common thread here? What connects all three?
Well, the answer, when you strip away all the complex economics, is actually remarkably simple. It all comes down to a single, incredibly powerful, and extremely fragile concept.
Trust. That's it. It's the invisible foundation that all money is built on. It's this shared belief that the note in your pocket will be accepted by others and that it will hold its value over time. Whether that trust gets eroded by sanctions or shattered by bad policy, the result is exactly the same. Once the trust is gone, the currency is just paper.
And this right here gets to the absolute heart of the matter. A currency is a promise from a government. It's a promise of stability, of responsible management, of future value. It's an agreement between the state and its citizens.
And that is exactly what happened in all three of these countries. Iran couldn't uphold its promise because of sanctions. Turkey broke its promise with really questionable economic policies. And Argentina broke its promise by printing its currency into oblivion. The paper was still there, but the value, the promise, was gone.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? A strong and stable currency doesn't happen by accident. It's built on a foundation of trust. And that trust, it's earned through stability, through smart and clear policymaking, and the kind of transparency that gives both investors and regular citizens confidence in the future.
So when you look around the world today and you see some of these same pressures building, you see political instability, you see unconventional economic policies, and you see eroding trust, it leaves us with a really critical question. Based on everything we've just seen, which country do you think might be the next to break its promise?